I'm Beth Daley, I'm a writer and I live in Wensleydale in the Yorkshire Dales National Park. I'm a fiction writer. I enjoy writing short stories, really short stories, which are called flash fiction, and writing for well-being as well, just writing for the sake of writing. I like to read quite a lot of literary fiction, mostly by women. I like stuff with that's a bit fantasy or supernatural or uncanny. Jess Kidd, Daisy Johnson, and there's a wonderful series called The Wayfarers by Becky Chambers. A couple that I loved as a child that sort of set me off on the route to maybe wanting to be a writer was Dylan Thomas and A Child's Christmas in Wales. I think the writing is just so delicious and descriptive. And P.G. Wodehouse, Jeeves and Wooster, because it was just funny and cosy and sets up these worlds that you just want to inhabit. My first novel is called Blood and Water and it's published by Hick Dragonis. It's magic realism, so I quite like to sort of set things in domestic, present-day settings, and then, to be honest, I get a little bit bored, so something crazy might happen. And in this one, the crazy thing was a mermaid. A mermaid appeared, and this became a motif throughout the book. And it's a novel about sisters and about mothers and daughters and death and relationships and mothering, I suppose, as well. I think I've always been a writer. I remember sitting in the box room in the house that we had when I was 7 or 8 years old, and for some reason we had cardboard boxes full of old exercise books, so blank notebooks, and I sat in that little box room and just wrote stories in them, and I was in my element. The first novel I wrote was part of a PhD, so I had a lot of support. So I had tutors and fellow students who did workshops and so on with me. So that was quite structured. But the second novel I started, well, I suppose I didn't really know that I'd started it during the pandemic. I just sat down to write for like an hour a week, literally, and just write and not stop. And that's a technique called free writing, which is where you just write constantly without worrying too much about what it is you're writing or where it's going or how good it is, and just keep going so you don't have that sense of self-censorship. So I did that for quite a while, just doing 1 hour a week without even reading it back, and then had a little break and then read it back and thought, you know what, actually there's a bit of a story in there. It wasn't just complete nonsense. So I carried on and I kept doing that until I got to the end. And then a really useful thing that I did was to do a summary of what I'd written and then to colour code it. So to see whether things were to do with the internal plot of the characters, and in literary fiction that's quite a big thing. There's quite a lot of internal development, and then the external plot, and then you can see whether it's balanced, what happens where, and then I could see that my story actually split into a certain number of sort of acts, if you like, and then I went through and edited it on a sort of a sentence level, because I guess when I started it I didn't really know I was writing a book, so there was quite a bit that needed to come out or be changed around, because you don't want the action to start, you know, halfway through the book. You want to leap into it at the beginning, so there was a bit of work to do to make sure that that happened, but generally speaking I just started at the beginning and went through to the end. I think the biggest challenge is sometimes just getting going, especially when you don't know if you've got an idea or you don't know if you've got a good idea. And I think the thing to do is to just start and to try and write some things down. You cannot edit a blank page, so you have to have something on the page in order to then make it good. I really like running writing workshops, especially with people who don't think that they can write, or don't think that they've got anything to say, or think that everything they have to say is ordinary. Because I think everybody is extraordinary and everybody has got stories in them, and whether it's writing for something they'd ultimately like to publish, whether it's just writing for well-being, I think it's a really useful tool for people to have, and to be able to share that and give somebody something that they can take away from a workshop and use straight away. They don't have to buy anything, they don't have to have a special setup, they've got everything they need to do it, and we've given them the permission, if you like, to do that. I think that's quite special, and it can be really helpful to people and really sort of change the way they feel about their creative life or even about themselves personally, and I think it's quite powerful.